tonight. He was revered in his nation and around the world. A look back at the life of Nelson Mandela, from South Africa to reaction in our own nation.
There has been no more powerful symbol in the world than that of Nelson Mandela.
To the thoughts of South African Canadians here at home.
I got a text from my daughter telling me that Nelson Mandela has passed away, and I went into shock immediately.
We remember Nelson Mandela.
CTV News with Tara Overholt.
Good evening. Tara is off tonight. I'm Sean Irvin. He was the father of modern South Africa, the man who overthrew apartheid. And tonight, the world is mourning Nelson Mandela. He was 95. Tom Kennedy begins our coverage tonight with a look back on his life and legacy.
It is sometimes said, as long as you are remembered, you live on. If so, Nelson Mandela will live forever. Mandela was born in 1918, son of a village chief, the first member of his family to attend school. Eventually, he joined the African National Congress and became a lawyer, expecting the law would be his weapon against the racial oppression of South Africa's white supremacist government. But in March 1960, everything changed. South Africa's police murdered 69 unarmed black protesters. Many of the dead were children. Mandela began to believe only an armed struggle could free his country.
There are many people who feel that it is useless and futile for us to continue talking peace and non-violence against a government whose reply is only savage attacks on an unarmed and defenseless people.
2 years later, Mandela was arrested, eventually convicted of treason and sentenced to life in jail. But many years later, he and others jailed with him would call their prison on Robben Island a university in the fight against apartheid. And from there, for 26 years, he nurtured and strengthened his movement, while on the outside, his wife at the time, Winnie Mandela, helped coordinate opposition to the regime until finally, in 1990,
Mr. Nelson Mandela, a free man.
He was free. Apartheid was finished. Just 3 years later, international recognition, he became a Nobel Peace Prize winner, and a year later, after the country's first elections open to all races, he became president. Mandela's final years, for the most part, spent privately, quietly, surrounded by generations of family. But on occasion, a reminder of what he meant. As his country partied and prepared to host the 2010 World Cup of Soccer, he made an appearance in the main stadium as tens of thousands shouted, "We love you, Mandela." He then faded from public view, but in the public mind, remained as present as the country itself. A long life has ended, but not its remarkable legacy. Tom Kennedy, CTV News, Toronto.
And clearly Nelson Mandela inspired millions around the globe, and tonight tributes continue to pour in. CTV's Vanessa Lee with more on how Mandela is being remembered.
Our beloved Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, the founding president of our democratic nation, has departed.
South African President Jacob Zuma making the announcement so many knew was coming, the loss being felt right around the world. Mandela, so much more than the leader of a country. He was a hero, an inspiration to millions, including U.S. President Barack Obama.
Through his fierce dignity and unbending will to sacrifice his own freedom for the freedom of others, Madiba transformed South Africa and moved all of us.
Canadians, too, are in mourning. Prime Minister Stephen Harper says the world has lost one of its great moral leaders.
Over the past half century or so, the struggle and the successes against the phenomenon of racial discrimination. And in this regard, there has been no more powerful symbol in the world than that of Nelson Mandela.
Mandela will be remembered as a giant for justice, also a down-to-earth man of humility.
He said that, no, it's not only me. There are hundreds of known, unknown people who have contributed to the ending of apartheid. I was so touched.
The strongest impression of all when you met him was of his extraordinary compassion and generosity and forgiveness.
His legacy proof that one humble man can accomplish so much. Vanessa Lee, CTV News, Montreal.
Here at home, Mandela's loss is being mourned by the Forest City's South African community. Talia Ricci has some of their reaction tonight. Talia.
Well, Sean, our South African club has up to 130 Londoners attending their events every year. So there certainly is a strong community here in our city. Tonight I spoke with a man named Rael Winberg. Him and his wife have a very special and personal memento from Mandela himself. And although they are very saddened by this news, they said that Mandela's legacy will continue to be a huge part of why they are so proud to be South African. Trinkets and treasures from their home country hang on the walls and rest on their shelves. Tonight, South African couple Rael and Margie Winberg are mourning the loss of a hero, one who is especially close to their hearts.
I got a text from my daughter telling me that Nelson Mandela has passed away, and I went into shock immediately.
The couple moved to London in 1977, around the time of the country's unrest during the apartheid.
In the next few days, the world will be in mourning, and it's only for one reason, because of what he did and the legacy and the aura that surrounds this absolutely phenomenal human being.
We spoke with an expert in South African politics from Western University. She said that Mandela is a huge part of South African identity.
It's not just the loss of a statesman, but the loss of somebody who is central to South African identity.
Upon hearing the news, many Londoners took to Twitter to express their condolences and also share some of Mandela's words of wisdom. Muhammad Salih quoted Mandela saying, "We must use time wisely and forever realize that the time is always ripe to do right. Rest in peace."
What he did for his country and what he did for his people is unbelievable.
In 1999, Margie Winberg's brother-in-law had the opportunity to bring his family to meet Mandela through his work in Johannesburg. Mandela wrote a special birthday message to Margie, which she will treasure forever.
I was in shock. I didn't know what he was talking about. I thought, how could Nelson Mandela have sent me something?
That day, Mandela told their nephew Aaron that he loves to hear children sing. Aaron was too shy, so Mandela insisted then that he would sing for Aaron. This is an audio recording of that moment.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are.
And since the news is so fresh, the South African club hasn't organized a special event yet to commemorate the life of Mandela. But when they do, we will make sure that we share that information with our viewers. Sean?
Clearly some heartfelt ties to Nelson Mandela right here in the Forest City. Thanks very much for that report, Talia. All right, we'll move on tonight. And a woman who's behind bars after a pursuit by police in St.